Now we turn to Ms. Ginger Chapman, a lawyer and political analyst, to explore the legal, political and human consequences of this escalating battle. Mr. Chapman, thank you for joining us on the show. Now, how significant is this ruling in legal and symbolic terms?
Well, thank you, Haney, for having me today, and greetings to your viewers. And the ruling out of the Ninth Circuit is very significant. Birthright citizenship is an issue that has been very controversial for the past few decades. And it should be noted, this is about the 14th Amendment. And the very first sentence of the 14th Amendment states that all persons born or naturalized within the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof shall be citizens of the state where they reside. And this is because birthright citizenship has been practiced in the United States essentially since the beginning of the United States. Where you were born determined where you were a citizen of. Now, there is controversy over the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. This is the phrase we expect the Supreme Court to closely examine should this case ever come before them. As you recall, the last case that about birthright citizenship did not rule on birthright citizenship, just on whether judges could impose nationwide injunctions across the entire country in response to any of Trump's executive orders. However, historically in America, citizenship was always the jurisdiction of the states themselves, and it was not until the famous Supreme Court case in 1898, Wong Kim Ark, where the child of Chinese nationals who was born in the United States was initially deprived of citizenship. And then the court said, no, his parents are legally in the United States. They're here on diplomatic missions. The child was born in the United States. He is a citizen of the United States. What's different about this current issue is the question of whether children of parents who are illegally in the United States do get the benefit of birthright citizenship. So that one phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, is going to be critical in the Supreme Court's decision. However, the other thing we've seen is the Supreme Court will avoid addressing a constitutional issue if they can avoid it. They might look at standing or whether the case is ripe for decision or moot. And in the Ninth Circuit case, one of the judges, the one judge that dissented, said that the plaintiffs did not have standing to pursue birthright citizenship. So when this comes to the Supreme Court, they may try to avoid the issue on the basis of standing. However, at some point, they will have to deal with birthright citizenship. The current composition of the court, it's evenly decided or it's evenly split. So it is really impossible at this point to predict how the Supreme Court would decide if and when this issue comes before them. However, it will set up a big battle within the federal government and between the federal government and the states, not just because states were historically in charge of immigration up until 1898, when we had the Chinese Exclusion Act and the federal government began trying to exclude Chinese citizens, but also because this is going to cause a jurisdictional battle between the states and the federal government. As the federal government, as Trump issues more executive orders that negatively impact the economies and the society, the cultural cohesion of the states, there are going to be more conflicts between the state and the feds over jurisdiction of this issue.
Well, It has been there in the 14th Amendment since 1898, as you've mentioned. You've explained the birthright citizenship and its deep historical roots. But why is it under attack now? I mean, subject to jurisdiction, this phrase has been there ever since. It has even since 1800s. So why now? Is it just a reaction to Trump's economic and social decisions?
Well, the truth is, America needs immigrants. We need people from around the world that want to come here, work, thrive, be successful, to contribute to the success and growth of America. The reason this is coming up now is because of the manner in which the previous administration under President Biden allowed in masses of migrants. Essentially, we threw the borders open, and over a 4-year period, anywhere from 20 to 30 million migrants came into the United States. This was alarming to the American people because we had no idea how many people were coming in. We had no way to vet them. We have no way of knowing who they are or where they are. So truly the reaction now is a response to, it's a response to the Biden administration throwing open the borders. The masses of people coming in tended to destabilize the towns in which they landed. Many small towns, maybe a small town of 30,000 people would get 20,000 migrants coming for work. This overwhelmed our schools, it overwhelmed our hospitals, and this in itself is what caused the alarm, and then this response to completely unbridled, completely open migration. So what we're seeing now is a response to the Biden administration manner of just allowing 20 to 30 million people in. This alarmed the American citizens, and Trump, being very reactionary and very transactional, he has just issued a blanket, as of February 2025, no more birthright citizenship. Mm-hmm. This may not have been the best way to bring this issue to the courts, and this will guarantee a lot of arguing, a lot of conflict until this issue is resolved. However, America has always been a nation where people have been welcome to come from all over the world, as long as they want to work and succeed and contribute to our own success. So is Trump creating an issue by going to the courts instead of trying to work this out with the legislature directly? Is he doing this in a manner that is only going to cause more chaos on top of the chaos with regard to the people already here? And the answer to that is yes. We do see Trump tends to act in a manner that causes chaos and let the chips fall where they may. So this issue is going to become more contentious the closer it gets to the Supreme Court, and there are voices on all sides of this issue that hark back to the original Constitution and ideals of America versus our short-term reaction.
Well, speaking of courts, what does this really say about the court's willingness to check executive authority under President Trump? Because since day one, President Trump has been issuing executive orders and decrees left, right, and center. So should we be expecting the court to check more executive orders?
Well, in truth, our country cannot be governed on the basis of executive orders and court decisions. We really need our Congress and our legislatures to step up to the plate. Indeed, this is one of the reasons that Americans call our Congress our do-nothing Congress, because wherever possible, they will delegate authority to the executive branch and to agencies, and then they are happy to have the courts decide on whether their laws are valid or not. So because we are at a time in American history that our Congress is not doing their job, and our executive branch, the president, appears to be overstepping his authority with these executive orders, and the courts are left to sort everything out. We are in a chaotic time. This is a very reactionary period, but we this is not how we can be governed. And this is showing up in the riots in our streets, the discontent with our Congress, and the deepening polarization within the American people, our voters, our churches, our college campuses. So as our divisions divide, we need our Congress to step up. Failing that, if our Congress fails the American people and does not do their job, carry out their constitutional duty, then we are going to see the executive branch, the president, battling with the courts, and we are going to be ruled by court decisions and chaos, as opposed to by law, order, and Congress.
Ms. Chapman, how could this battle between Trump and the executive authority and the courts reshape? Do you think it could reshape immigration law or maybe influence midterm election narratives?
Well, with respect to the midterms, which are coming up next year, the political parties are already focusing on candidates, arguments, how Trump's actions now are going to impact our midterm candidates. It's actually the foreign policy issues that are viewed as the biggest threat towards Trump and Republican candidates in the upcoming midterm elections. Once again, if Congress could step up and work with the executive branch to reach a resolution, that would be ideal. But instead, what we are seeing is more chaos and more battles between our legislature and our executive branch. And I'm not sure if I completely answered your question. If you could rephrase that, or
Yes. Well, Ms. Ginger Chapman, thank you very much for your insights.